Hey there. So I was having some problems with a server died that was my NetInstall server, and I decided to rebuild one, upgraded it, got it up to the latest operating system, so now I'm running High Sierra 10.12, I guess, 10.13, and upgraded the server app for a $25 purchase, and come to find out just about every service that used to be included is missing. They've removed a whole bunch of features in the server app for OS, or macOS as it's called now, and they're pointing you towards open source solutions to replace those services. So that led me to figure out what I was going to do next, and I would certainly like to start off by thanking Graham Gilbert at grahamgilbert.com, who kind of got me started with this process here. And what we're going to be looking at is a way to get netboot or netinstall working again, so you can deploy system images. What I use it for, I use Deploy Studio and I boot off of the network, and then I bring in a system image for whatever device I'm usually fixing. So let's get started and kind of get you into it and show you what we're going to do. Okay, so we're going to get started here installing this bsdpy. And I've just booted into the installation of Ubuntu 18 LTS Bionic, and we're just going to kind of run through this install wizard real quick. Should go pretty quickly. We're going to take mostly the defaults. One thing I am going to change is DHCP. So for my network, I want to have DHCP, which is on. And default, default, default. Erase the disk, that's fine. Alright, basic user information. This will be the user you'll connect the server with and make your changes with. bsdpy01, good name. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and choose Docker right here. This will give me all the things I need to get started. You could also just do a basic install and add Docker to the install, but it seems to work just fine. So it's going to go through and do the configuration, get the system installed. Once that's done, we're going to go in, we're going to set the network IP address. We're going to use the new netplan to do that. We're also going to set up an installation script that will start and restart our service so that we can do the net install. And once we get that done, we're just going to have to copy over an NBI file, which is a netboot image, so that it can start serving it up to our Mac clients, and then we can get back in business here before we were so rudely interrupted. And actually, this does seem to work pretty good. It might be a little more stable and dependable than the that server app was getting kind of flaky on me last couple of years I've been using it, and it seems like every upgrade it gets a little bit sketchier, so I'm glad to at least have an alternative in my pocket. Shouldn't take too much longer. Sing you a song. So this is just running on a VM on my workstation. Normally I throw it in the server somewhere, but for now this is fine. And let's just reboot this. And let me eject my CD. It's already ejected. Fair enough. Okay, so we're starting off, I was using this guide from Graham Gilbert's website, and he had some pretty good information on there. That's where I got most of the script we'll be using from, as well as just the general gist of how to do things here. So let's go ahead and log in. Okay, a couple housekeeping things we got to do. First, install. Initially, it's probably going to do some more installation just as it sits here. Sometimes when you choose those package install options, it's going to go ahead and maybe install some Docker files or something like that. But it seems pretty quiet right now, so let's do... Oh, there it goes. Hang on. So it looks like it's just getting the finishing touches of Docker taken care of. Might as well wait instead of interrupting it halfway through. We're going to go and do an apt-get update and make sure the system's up to date. We also need to install the universe repository for Ubuntu. That just gives you some extra packages that seems like we needed something extra for that Docker to pull in what it needed. So actually we can try it without doing that first and see if it gives us any grief. Hello? Okay. So yeah, let's just do an apt-get update. Sudo. So go out and check and see if there's anything new. If we're lucky. Nope. Alright, so alright, we are not getting any network connection here. Well, we're not getting any DNS, so let's take a look at our network. So the new network system in Bionic here is netplan. So it's going to be in this netplan folder. And this is the configuration file. It's kind of strangely named, but let's look at our current network settings. If I do an if config, see we're looking at Ethernet and it's showing up as ENS33. And you know what, I have an IP address. I might as well SSH to this because that's going to make things a little bit easier. So I'm just going to minimize. So what are we, 84.32. I'm going to shrink this down and I'm going to try to terminal into this. 84.32. This will be better. So if I look at this file, text editor I usually use is Nano, but you can use Nano or VI, or there's a whole bunch of options for you. So Nano 50-cloud, tab will autofill, and fair enough. So we're just at the base bone settings here. There's no DNS servers listed. That would normally come from DHCP though, so I'm not quite sure. Well, let's look at it. And name server. So it looks to me like it's looking to itself. Maybe it expects to be running a bind or some other DNS server on this host, but we are not. So let's go in and change that to a static IP and tell it what name server we want. Oh, 50-cloud. Okay. So let's get rid of these two lines. Boom, boom. Okay, so this is a YAML file and it's very sensitive to spacing and syntax. Basically, each of these groups, anything under it that's within that group needs to have at least one space of an indentation. You can't use a tab though, you have to use a space. So ENS33 is our network adapter, so now I'll go under that and we're going to give it an address. So it's addresses, and we're going going to do 10.142.84.8. That's going to be a /23 network, which would be 255.255.253.0, I think. Let's check. Go to my favorite little subnet calculator. /23 mask bits would be 23 is going to be a .254. So where you would normally put that in as your subnet mask, it's going to take it in this slash format, so it's just going to be /23. Being that that is the YAML file, we need to have this in, I believe this is a list if it's enclosed within these braces. You have to have a space after your colon, and the rest is a little more normal. So addresses, and then we're going gateway. Gateway 4, because it's IPv4. It doesn't look right. GATEWAY4. Okay. Space 10. And now we can add some name servers. So again, now name servers, new group, so we're going to space in some addresses. It's going to be a list, and we'll just do the basic favorite to type, 4.2.2.2. And from there, we can get rid of these lines. That should still be okay. And let's see what happens. Did not run this as root. Let me just copy this from here. I have to exit out and do that again. Don't forget sudo. So I have that all copied, so I'm just going to delete everything and paste. And now I'll write it out and exit. So to kind of apply that configuration, we're going to say service netplan apply sudo. That is not right. Sudo, oh, no service, sorry. Just sudo netplan apply. And if we've been good and typed everything correctly in that file, we should get some success. Okay, so that did work. Now let's just check our name servers. If we do a cat, oh, I'm not connected anymore because we just changed our IP. So let's do a new session. And 10.142.84.8, I think we did. Yep. I know. Okay, so now if we do a cat /etc/resolve.conf and same name servers. Well, let's see if it works. So let's have another look at that. What did we do? Got our network, we got our Ethernets, we got our interface, got our addresses, our gateway, got our name servers, addresses. Guess I can pull that back a smidge. Is that lined up? Yep. See if that made any difference. You know what else you can do if you want to just check that syntax in your typing and all that? If we view that file, so if we do a cat 50 tab, if we just copy this, and there's this website, it's a YAML syntax checker. So if I just paste this in here, let me see what this. Alright, so this is whatever that website is. So paste and submit. Oh, it passes the check, so that's a good sign. Is that what I wrote? It's not what I just copied out of here. Let me try that again. Okay, so it does seem to work. It looks like it reformatted it for me. So let's try this. And go back over here. And we'll paste that. See if that makes any difference. Oh, that was quicker. No DNS yet. Oh, yes we do. Well, let's look at that resolve file. Cat, let's see. So this may, in fact, not be where this configuration is saved anymore. So it does look like we're getting DNS if I can do a NS. Let's look up of Google. We get a result. That's good. We'll go with it. So, networking, check. Next up, we need to set up Docker. So let's do that apt get update with a sudo. And let's do the same thing, apt get upgrade. This will install any newer packages for us. Now on the guide that I was going off of, they wanted us to install this in the /user usr/local folder. And when I did that, I was getting some security errors relating to the particular distribution and not wanting to run things in that location. But it did seem to work if I installed it in the root user's home folder. So that's where we're going to be doing this. Okay. So if we do a sudo -i, that's going to make us root, but it will also maintain our environment variables and anything like that. So I am root, and we're going to go home, which puts us in /root. So we're going to make a folder for storing our netboot images. So if we do mkdir-p, that'll make subdirectories also. Say root docker nbi. Now we should see those. So let's go into Docker, and there's that subfolder. Now we're going to make a new script file that's going to actually be what we start and stop the service with. So here we are in /root/docker. We're going to make a file called startup. We'll do this. We'll do touch startup.sh. So that'll basically just make a file, nothing in it. Nothing there. And we want to change it so we can run this file. So if we do chmod 755, that'll give us permission to run it. And it should turn green. There it is. If you do lsla, you can see the file attributes. So we have for owner, read, write, execute, which is what we want. So let's open that up. Okay, I'm going to paste this whole script in here, and then we'll kind of look through it a little bit. Wink. Alright, so at the top, just the beginning of our script, and this is what's actually going to get those services and install them in Docker for us. So we'll be installing this TFTPD recipe, this netboot HTTPD recipe, and this bsdpy recipe. First thing it's going to do after it does that is stop any Docker services that are running so it can start them again. It's going to double check the permissions on this folder. If we copy a new netboot image in, it's going to just make sure that the permissions are correct. So it's going to give full access to anything in that NBI folder. Now this was originally in the script. I'm sure that this would work on different versions of Linux distributions, but it didn't work on this particular one, mostly because of the formatting of that ifconfig puts out. So I just commented this entire section out and replaced it with an IP address, and this is what we had just set to, so 142.84.8. So this will just say, this is my IP address. Instead of typing this in each time below, we can just reference it like this with a $sign. So now make sure we change these. These need to be the folders that we created, that we just created. So we made that Docker NBI folder. Make sure these paths are pointing to that. And so we need to double check that. And double check it here. Same thing. Make sure that path is correct. And down here, same path. And interface, we want to make sure that this interface is the same interface that we saw when we were looking at our interfaces. So mine is ENS33, yours might be ETH0123. Depending on what your setup is, this is just how this system detected this interface, and that's the name of it. We'll look at how you can check that in just a second. And then here we have two of those references to your IP address, so you'll see those in red. Besides that, that's all we should really need. And let's write that out and close. So just to go back a little bit, let's look at our ifconfig, and we see that this, we have a couple different interfaces here, but this is the one with the IP address that we've set that we're connected to. and its name is ENS33. So whatever interfaces you see listed here, you're probably going to see a LO or a loopback. Most likely with this 127 address. You could see something else here. This is kind of a Docker virtual interface. It's used internally for the Docker process. And yeah, so this is the one that we're concerned with. We just want to make sure that those scripts reference that interface and that they reference that same this NBI directory. So if we go into that folder, if we say pwd, we'll get the full path, and that's what we want in those scripts. So without further ado, let's see if that'll run. So we'll say /startup, and like I said, I think we might need to install this additional repository, but we'll see what happens. So right now it's going out, it's downloading those 3 different packages. The nice thing about the script is as those recipes get updated and any changes are made, every time you start this, it's going to go and download those again. So whatever packages you're running are always going to be, they'll always be updated for you. So it says something happened here. Downloading newer image Docker stop, blah, 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 blah. That's okay. Well, let's see what's running. So if we do a Docker ps for process /-a, it'll show us what's up. And it actually looks like all 3 services are up. So we didn't have to install that universe repo, which is nice. And let's go ahead and just run that one more time to see what happens. So see here, it's going and double checking those packages. It says, yep, that already exists. It's already in there. It's good to go. It stopped those applications, and now it should start them up. And if we do this again, there we go. So they have stopped and started again. They've been up for 5 seconds this time, and that service should be running. So if we let's see what happens. If we do this, that's good. Let me connect up to a different machine. Let's go. One second. Maybe. Maybe not. Oh, here we are. Okay, so this is excuse me. This is a server that's just running the new server application that has these 2 features left. Everything else has been outsourced open source options, which they were basically built on in the first place. So I'm not really too upset about that, but let's just see what we got going here. I'm not doing much of anything. Are you alive? Let's try that again. Well, long story short, this is what we'll do. So you obviously already have a way to create a NetBoot set. You're probably using Deploy Studio or something along those lines. What you want to do is open up, make your NetBoot set, open your terminal up, and you're going to, what I'll do, I'll copy this from a different, I have a NetBoot set on another server, and I will copy it to this server. And it's basically the same thing you would do from your Mac with the NetBoot set that you just created. So let's do a new session. Oh, I think it's this IP. And They also disable root login remotely, which is a good thing, but still takes me a little bit to get in the habit. Sorry, my screen is, everything seems to want to go in the other screen. Okay, so now if we go into that same folder here, this is a different server. Root Docker. Nope, so I got to do a sudo again. Otherwise I can't get in there. Okay, so here you see this is one of my NetBoot sets. So let's just pretend that we are sitting at a terminal on your Mac workstation and you have your NetBoot set on your desktop, and that's the directory that we are in. Alright, good pretending. So we're going to just copy this to that other server from a terminal. So if we do scp -r lowercase, and we're going to put our source and then our destination. So we're going to say from this directory and the file name. Get rid of that trailing slash. And now our destination is going to be your username that you set up earlier on the new server, which was Joe for me. I'm sorry, no, colon to Joe at, and then the IP address. So what was it? 20? No, it was 84.8, I think. Colon. This is going to be the path that follows the colon. So we're connecting to it as Joe, not root. So we're not going to be able to put it in that folder where it needs to end up. So we're going to just go, I can do a tilde, and that'll be my home folder. And I think that's really all I need. I don't even need to have a slash or anything. So let's see what happens there. Yes, I'll accept that key. And it's going to want my password. And should start copying. So this is a different server. This is your Mac on your desktop with your NetBoot set, and we're copying it to this server. So now I'm still root. So let's type exit. I'll get back to being Joe. And let's type cd tilde, get us to our home folder. And if we do an ls, we should, yep, there it is. So that is in the process of copying. ls, la, we should be able to see what size it is. It's 4096. Do it again, it should be bigger. So that's just getting its way over here. It shouldn't take too long. Well, looks like about a minute. So maybe I'll pause this and wait till that finishes up. Well, what we can do while we're waiting, let me show you a couple other things. So let's make this big again. And if we go back in as root sudo -i, and we go back, well, it doesn't matter where we are. We're in the home. So if we want to see the Docker processes, we can type docker psa. We just did that. As you saw in the script, if you wanted to close any of those, you can do this. So this is saying Docker stop, and then it's going to return everything that doing ps-a-q does, and it also can remove the process by doing this. You know, little things like that might be handy for troubleshooting. Save yourself restarting the thing each time. If you want to see some logs, you can say docker logs and the name of our service. So we could look at, like, say that TFTPD service. No logs there. Let's look at bsdpy. Oh, there's some stuff. So we are just, this is like the last section that came out from the log. Saying it's sitting there listening to that interface. It's ready to go. Nothing too special there. If you wanted to kind of watch that log, if you put a -f in here, it'll just sit there and wait for more information to come through. So if this was, running through and you wanted to watch it deploying an image to a client, well, a netboot image, you could see that client connecting and just sit there and watch it if you wanted to. To stop that, you do Control-C, and then you're back to a command prompt. How are we doing over here? Oh, we're getting there. Is that all it's done? Must not be the fastest connection between these two here, but we'll get it. These are pretty big files too. I think they're about 5 gigabytes for the netboot install set. If you haven't already checked out Deploy Studio, that's what I use for. I'm at a school. We have about, well, less now, but I've been upwards of 200 Macs, and it makes your life so much easier. You don't have to have 10 different images for each thing. You can compartmentalize and install certain packages on different workflows, and it really just puts a nice front end on the built-in deployment system that Apple has with the ASR and the multicast images. And it's not always the easiest thing to get your network up and running to behave well when you're multicasting images out, but if you put in the time, and you do have to deal with a lot of Macintosh computers and imaging, this netboot really makes a big difference, makes it a lot easier. Feel free to skip ahead. It looks like we got about 30 seconds left. While we wait for that, let's just go and check out Graham's website. So this is where I started on this project. It was at this place, and he kind of goes through getting yourself set up, getting installed the packages you need. He actually shows you how to install Docker if you didn't choose that pre-configured install option. Here's where we're making the directories, and then he kind of builds his script in sections. So he does like one section, then he adds to it, and then he adds to it. And here's where he had that original IP variable assignment that was giving me trouble. And you can see down here he's got a different path. So this is where he installed his NBI folder, and those scripts would be in the Docker folder under user local. You can see his Ethernet interface is a little different. So these are all just the little things you gotta keep track of as you're going. Again, you'll see that chmod, this is going to a different folder. So just make sure if you're doing this, go in, double check these places, make sure that you don't have a copy paste error. It's handy, but everybody's a little different. You don't want to make sure you're just blindly pasting things in and not even looking at them. So you make sure that you're getting these changes to reflect the system that you're using. Anyhow, okay, so that's done. So now go back in here and let's look at that log file again. So nothing's changed. So what we need to do is run that script to stop it and start it again. So we'll go into Docker and we'll run our script and it's going to do its thing. Okay. So now if we do that, let's view those logs again. Oh, small step we missed here. Go into our NVI folder. There's nothing in there. So now let's go back to, let's go to home, Joe, and this is where we copied that folder to from the other server. So now we need to move that to where it actually goes. So if we do mv-r file name, and we're going to put that in root docker lowercase nbi. Don't need an R on a move. Excuse me. So now getting late here. Root docker nbi. Now we see it. Looks like it's owned by Joe right now. It's probably okay. It's going to change it when that script starts. So let's check the logs once more. Okay, nothing new. Let's run our startup script. Excuse me. And one more time on the logs. All right. So now we're seeing considering NBI source at this directory, this file, and as far as that goes, we're good to go. This is ready to serve out that that boot image to your clients. The only thing you might need to do if you were already using this system with the Apple built-in service tools is make sure if you're going across subnets you need to set up like an IP helper address in your switches so that through DHCP your clients can find your new server. You may have had a different server that was servicing those clients in the past and you just need to make sure you update that IP helper address. Yeah, beyond that it should be good. And if you have any questions or shoot me a message, I'm more than happy to try to help you. I'm no expert, but I do think that this should be helpful to somebody who just stumbled into a problem and needs a quick fix. So good luck to you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.